Luke is going to make him do some verbal arithmetic there.
All in.
Whoa.
Wow. Luke Staudenmaier has gone all in.
Okay, I call.
David Benyamine quickly makes the call. Just didn't believe he's that strong. Tonight's matchup pits two young, smart online pros against two established Las Vegas big money cash game players. The winner tonight will take home $1.6 million and get a $25,000 entry into the season-ending WPT World Championship.
And the chip leader at this point is Luke Staudenmaier, the 22-year-old with $7.1 million. The blinds are 60 and 120, and he's 15,000. And actions on the ex-limo driver Ralph Perry, who looks down at an ace-7 offsuit.
Ralph, a very successful high-stakes cash game player. And Vince, an amazing stat to me is that he's played in 38 WPT events. This, the first time he's made it to a WPT final table.
300.
Well, he's going to bump it up here. He's going to go 300,000 to go. And action goes to Luke, who's got a pair of queens.
Look at this, the chip leader picking up two queens the first hand tonight. And he is going to raise it.
Going to make it 840 to go. Quick fold by David Benyamine. Mike Watson also out. And Ralph Perry can't compete with the hand, so he's going to fold it.
So the rich getting richer on hand number one here tonight. And that is frustrating. When you make a raise and your opponents come right over the top of you, you just say to yourself, how do they know I didn't have that much?
Well, Mike, it's not that he's clairvoyant. The man had a pair of queens, for Pete's sakes. Doesn't care what he has.
He's looking at his own cards. You're right, Vince. So action on Luke. Lays his hand down.
Yes, he does. David Benyamine with the button. Won't play it.
Around to the young Canadian, Mike Watson. He looks down at the ace queen of spade in a small blind. Well, he's going to raise it. Makes it 360,000 to go.
And Ralph Perry with a king-jack.
Now, Vince, the last hand he raised it. His opponent came over the top of me, threw it away.
All in.
Oh, boy, he says all in.
I call.
Oh, wow.
And a quick call there by Mike Watson with his ace-queen.
Once again, Ralph Perry is all in and up against it. We saw him stay alive earlier at this final table when he had ace-9 against ace-10. He got lucky there against John Fan.
You called so fast, like you like your hand.
Well, as the cards lie, as you can see, Mike about a 2-to-1 favorite to eliminate Ralph from his tournament.
All right, here comes the flop. And it's a good one for Mike Watson, a 5-4 deuce. Nothing hitting for Ralph.
Well, Ralph is going to have to catch a king or a jack to win this pot, or at least take the lead.
So Ralph Perry in quite a predicament right now. Needs to turn this around, make something happen. Can he get it? Second card is a 9 of hearts, also good for Mike. He's still out in front.
We are down to the river, one card to go.
Give me a king.
Las Vegas pro Ralph Perry must catch a king or a jack, or he'll be our fourth place finisher.
Okay, here comes the river, and it's an ace. Good for Mike Watson.
Yep, he's made two aces. He's going to take down this pot. So Ralph Perry, who finished third in the 2002 World Series of Poker main event, finishes fourth tonight.
That is right. The ex-limo driver, Ralph Perry.
Yeah, just pick up a hand at the right time.
Driving himself out of Bellagio in fourth place. $290,000 richer. One of these guys is going to take home close to $1.7 million. Stay with us. We're coming back with more action in just a few moments.
It's time for a giveaway at WPT Global. Free $50 added to your account to the first 100 people who sign up. Simply follow these 3 steps. Click the link down below in the YouTube description, make a new account with bonus code YT73, and deposit at least $1. That's it. $50 will be added to your account, but act fast. Only to the first 100 people.
Well, Vince, these 3 players came to this final table as our 3 chip leaders. They're the guys that are fighting it out for the $1.6 million and that coveted WPT title.
Blinds are at 60 and 120,000. And right now, Luke Staudenmaier, the Pittsburgh poker punk, out in front with about 7.8 million. And this time he's got a jack 9. And He's going to get aggressive with it and raise. He has made it 360,000 to go.
Now it's over to David Benyamine. WPT champ for his second title tonight. He is coming over the top with a king-queen. Nice raise by David here.
Yeah, he's going to make it an additional 600 on top of Luke's raise. And now Mike Watson with a queen-6. Doesn't want to play that.
Now back around to Luke.
All in.
Wow, what a play here by the 22-year-old Vince. He has moved all in with just a Jack-9 offsuit. He obviously picked up some kind of tell on David that he's just not that strong. And I can tell you, for David to make this call would be unbelievable. But what a play by the 22-year-old. He doesn't care David Benyamine plays in Bobby's room with those high-stakes cash game players. He says, you're up against me now, pal. How do you like it?
That is as good as it gets there by the 22-year-old from Pittsburgh. Back over the top, stealing that pot from Benyamine.
Oh, Vance to be young and fearless.
All right, Mike Watson this time with a king-3 of spades and the button. He's going to get into the action. He's going to raise it up to 330,000 to go.
We are playing some poker now, folks.
And Luke with an ace-deuce of hearts.
Well, Vince, he raised a pre-flop and moved all in with a Jack-9 after he got re-raised last time. What's he going to do here with an ace-deuce? He's going to raise it again.
I mean, it's one thing you can muscle the Frenchman perhaps, but Mike Watson, an unknown quantity here.
Well, right now, Luke Staudenmaier is playing like the Popeye from Pittsburgh, I can tell you that. He is feeling his oats, and he is raising every pot.
Mike can't take the heat, so what plays by Luke Staudenmaier?
Who is this kid, Vince?
Let's go down to the table. Mike Watson with an ace-5 of hearts this time with the button.
He makes it 330,000 to go.
And now Luke staring down at an ace-8 of spades.
Well, Vince, he's come over the top of both of these guys with raises with worse hands than this. This time he just makes the call. And now David Benyamine picks up an ace-10. All three players with an ace-high. David with an ace-10 offsuit.
I'm all in.
And says, I'm all in. His turn to go over the top, all in now.
The Frenchman going to put the fromage on the baguette here.
Count it, please.
Unbelievable action by these three guys.
1 million, 2, 2.5, 3.
Folks, don't go anywhere.
6,
We are in for a whale of a final tonight.
7, 3.8, 20, 15.
And Watson can't take the heat. And now Luke.
Well, here's a case where David will be happy to win the pot right here, but he'd be real happy to get called since he's dominating his opponent with ace-10 over ace-8. David Benyamine coming over the top of the two youngsters there to take it down. And folks, don't go anywhere. We are in for a big final here tonight. These guys are playing some poker.
Hope they show that one.
Seems like they all have the same style. Play fast, take the money and run. Stay with us. We're coming back with more action.
Watson in second place with 6.8 million. David Benyamine with about 4.5 million in third place.
All right, back to the money pit. David Benyamine popping it up with an ace-jack. He's made it 360,000 to go. Mike Watson out.
Around to Luke Staudenmaier, the 22-year-old. He's got an ace-10 this time.
So how much do you have now, David? 600 more than I had earlier. About. How much did I have? I said 3.6. I have around 4. 4 minus maybe 360. 3.9, 4 million. Okay.
Luke is going to make him do some verbal arithmetic there.
All in.
Whoa. Wow. Luke Staudenmaier has gone all in.
Okay, I call.
David Benyamine quickly makes a call. Just didn't believe he's that strong. Well, David's got him dominated. Ace-Jack versus Ace-10. This is unbelievable.
Good luck, David.
Yeah, like he means that.
You don't. I can't wish you luck on that hand. You don't need it now. I'll wish it to you later.
So David Benyamine in great shape to double up here. Comes 6-4-3. He's out in front with the ace-jack. Right now, Luke is going to have to catch a 10 to take the lead. The board paired twice. They would split the pot. But David Benyamine in great shape to double up and take the lead at this final table. Well, a queen comes off on the turn. We are down to the river card. Luke must catch a 10 to win this pot and eliminate David from this tournament.
Huge opportunity for David Benyamine. One card away.
Well, David's fans all on their feet clapping for him. Here we go. Everybody rooting for a card. Let's see what it is. It's a 7. David Benyamine shoots his arms up. He has doubled up, Vince. And he will be a force to be reckoned with now.
Becoming more and more popular as his hands hold up, and he becomes a chip leader with his bevy of beauties.
I was lucky no matter what.
That's a nice thing to have.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. You know, when you got a WPT title, Vince, that's what happens. You have a nice female contingent of fans. Boy. Until you capture that title, you just got your guy friends hanging around.
You know what? It takes a Frenchman to give us a lesson right there.
Oh, oui, oui, monsieur.
Oui, oui.
A quad hug right there. He is doubled up.
And with that pot, David Benyamine, now our chip leader with over 9 million in chips. In second place, the Canadian Mike Watson with about 6.7 million in chips. And now in third place from Pittsburgh, Luke Staudenmaier with about 4.3 million.
Just extremely fast play here tonight at Bellagio. Mike Watson going to fold a 6 deuce. And now Luke, who's just been chopped in half there of his stack, has an ace 8 of diamonds.
Well, that figures to be the favorite against the big blind. Now, certainly Luke is going to raise it here. Makes it 360,000 to go. When David picks up another dominating hand, an ace queen, and says, I'm all in. So in back-to-back pots, the guy who's the big chip leader could be eliminated if he makes this call, Vince.
Yep, this is pummel time. And the way David's doing it, did it so quickly, you might just want to call this down.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, Vince. Right now, this Pittsburgh guy's got to feel like the Steelers did when the Cleveland Browns were in their heyday.
Don't be going back 50, 60 years, my friend.
Well, he does lay it down, so a good lay down by Luke there.
For some reason, I feel like you'd never block me there. See it on TV.
Wise words of wisdom from a 22-year-old.
Right? You're right.
We're coming back with more action here on the World Poker Tour. Stay with us. The 80 and 160,000. And right now, David Benyamine from France is out in front with about 7.6 million.
In second place, the youngster Luke Staudenmaier, 22 years old. He's got 6.9 million. And in third place from Canada, Mike Watson with about 5.5 million.
Mike quickly folding this hand. And now Luke from Pittsburgh, 22 years old, has a queen 9, and he's going to raise, going to make it 480,000 to go.
Well, mathematically, that's supposed to be a favorite over any 2-card random hand, but David Benyamine makes the call with an ace 5. Healthy blinds and antes right now, about 300,000 to play every 3 hands of poker. And the flop comes ace jack 5. David Benyamine's flop top and bottom pair. Action is on Luke. He's just got a queen 9, no help at all out there for him. It's not going to stop him from betting. He fires 750,000.
Yep, making the continuation bet.
1.5.
I bet she's actually hoping his opponent's got ace queen, ace 10, ace king right now.
Very scary thing when a man doubles the bet and no limit hold'em. Usually the sign of a monster, and it was more or less a monster. Luke gets out of the way with his junk hand.
So David Benyamine picking up that pot to add to his chip lead. Well, Luke obviously just hoping that David didn't have an ace in his hand where he could take the pot down right there. Unfortunately for him, David flopped top and bottom pair, came over the top, took down the pot.
Action's going to Mike Watson though right now. And with a king 3, folds his hand. Luke now with an ace 4 clubs. Not going to raise.
Check.
David with an 8-6 says, okay, let's have a flop. Oh, what a flop for David Benyamine. It's come 8-8-3. He's flopped 3 8s.
It's a huge hand, and he's going to try to trap.
Well, Luke checks, and David quickly checks 3/8 right behind him. Oh, and now a 4 comes off. Luke now has 8s and 4s with an ace kicker. But he checks, Vince. David is now going to bet his trips. He bets 300,000. And Luke is going to make the call. You can't blame him for the way this hand was played. They both checked on the flop. Now 4 comes off, and he's got an ace 4. Now a 9 comes off. But he suspects something, Vince, because he's checking again. Just wants to give David a chance to bluff at it in case he's got nothing. Unfortunately for him, David's got 3/8. David's going to make a pot-sized bet here, 900,000. And I think it's going to be tough for Luke to get away from his hand.
Michael.
He does make the call. David's going to show him 3/8 and take it down.
That is aggravating, but you know, Luke only has to blame himself. Not raising with ace high before the flop.
I'll give David some credit there too, because he checked on the flop when he made 3/8 to lure his opponent to fall into that trap. Well, David Benyamine now has over 12 million in chips. The other two guys got 4.3 and 3.7 million. So definitely David in great shape to take down his second WPT title.
All right, let's go back down the table. It's going to be right back on David.
Pass.
This time with an 8-5, wants no part of it. Mike Watson with ace queen here.
Well, he's going to make a raise to 480,000.
But Luke here has ace 10.
Vince, ace 10 is a pretty big hand against the other blind.
All in.
And he's going all in.
I call.
And Mike has quickly called him.
Yep, could be a disaster here for Luke.
Well, Mike Watson, the Canadian, in great shape to double up here. Luke has a few more chips than him. But if Luke loses this pot, he will be pretty much crippled at this final table.
1, 2.
Mike Watson well out in front right now. He has ace queen. His opponent has ace 10.
Here comes the first 3.
It's come king, jack, 9. Both players with an ace high straight draw. Mike Watson well out in front with the ace queen. Luke no longer wants a 10 because that would give his opponent a straight. He now needs a queen to make a straight himself.
7 of hearts on the turn.
And that gives Luke a few more outs. He can catch an 8 to win the pot now too. That would give him a jack high straight. So Luke needs an 8 or a queen. Nothing else will do.
A huge pot. Here we go to the river.
Well, it's a 7. So Mike Watson is going to double up there. And Luke Staudenmaier, who had the chip lead for a fair amount of time at this final table, is now pretty much crippled, Vince.
It's just a little bump in the road sometimes and make a comeback.
Yeah, he is on the morphine drip at this point.
I was rooting for the tie.
3 players remain. We're coming back with more action on the World Poker Tour. From Toronto, Canada, 24 years old, 7.5 million. Luke Staudenmaier right now hanging in there by dental floss down to about $500,000.
Well, Vince, he's getting 2-to-1 odds on anything that he has, and many players would just put their money in the dark. And this is not the hand he's looking to pick up right here.
With the absolute worst.
He's got a 7-3 offsuit, opts to lay it down. He knows David is pot committed. He's going to make a call, whatever 2 cards he's got. So he's just opting to save his last few bucks and hopes to pick up something better next time around.
7 deuce off.
Well, Vince, I got to tell you, many players would have just put the money in
4 1/4.
sight unseen. Getting that kind of price, over 2-to-1 odds on their money, you're just going to gamble in that spot with any 2 cards.
Luke deeply disappointed. It was one time he was playing the best poker at the table, running lucky, making moves, and now he's down to being a 3rd place finisher perhaps.
Well, he's certainly on the cloth, as we say, down to virtually nothing. And here he's picked up king high on the button. No doubt he's going to ship it, and indeed he does. He's moved all in here.
How much is that? 430.
Now David right behind him with a queen 4.
All right.
So David going to make what we call a strategic call here. Chances are extremely remote that Mike Watson is going to raise him. He actually would like Mike to make this call. And when you get in this position, strategy dictates that you and your opponent check it down most of the time. You're just hoping one of the two of you can bust the other guy where you can play heads up for the title and move up substantially in real money.
He's like a pack of piranhas right now.
Tournament life. You only get one.
Ganging up on the victim there. Mike with queen 8, David queen 4, and Luke king 4. Here's the flop.
The flop comes queen 5-3.
No help for Luke.
Action's going to be on David. He checks top pair here.
And Mike is going to bet for a side pot. David quickly folding his hand.
Well, David throws 2 queens away. He was out kicked, as we say. So Mike Watson well out in front here with the 2 queens. Well, you see the disgruntled look on Luke's face right there. He understands he's got to catch 2 runners to make a straight or catch a king to take the lead. Otherwise, he's going to be our 3rd place finisher.
Young poker player from Pittsburgh in trouble. A 5 on the turn.
So we are down to the river card. Luke Staudenmaier is going to have to catch a king on the river to stay alive in this tournament. Doesn't happen. A 6 comes off. So that's going to do it for the 22-year-old from Pittsburgh. He's going to be our 3rd place finisher.
Yes, he is. Going to pick up $452,000.
Get me out of here.
2 players remain, going after $1.6 million.
It's time for a giveaway at WPT Global. Free $50 added to your account to the first 100 people who sign up. Simply follow these 3 steps. Click the link down below in the YouTube description, make a new account with bonus code YT73, and deposit at least $1. That's it. $50 will be added to your account, but act fast. Only to the first 100 people.
About to begin, the Frenchman David Benyamine going after his 2nd WPT titles, out in front, Mike, with about $13 million.
Mike Watson starting out with about $6.9 million in chips.
24-year-old from Toronto, Canada. Let's take a look at his cards. It's a 9-8.
And that's good enough to raise on the button. He makes it $400,000 to go. And David, the Goliath of cash games, makes the call with the Jack-3 of hearts.
There's the flop 7-4 deuce, helping neither player.
David actually out in front with the Jack high, but
and it's on him first. He checks. Mike raised before the flop, but no continuation bet there. He's checks as well.
Now the 10 of hearts comes off. This gives David Benyamine a flush draw. It gives Mike an open-end straight draw. So David out in front with the Jack high. The best hand and the best draw, as we say.
Very interesting turn card, helping both players' possibilities, and David getting busy here.
David obviously doesn't know his Jack high is the best hand, so he's making what we call a semi-bluff of $700,000, meaning he's got outs to win the pot, whatever his opponent has.
And Mike Watson now with his open-ended straight draw, contemplating his situation.
Now, Vance, here's a hand that I believe veteran players would fold in this spot because there's 2 potential flush draws out there. Meaning, if you make your straight, but one of the flush cards come off, you could get beat anyway.
Yeah, but he's 24 years old. What does he care? He's going to gamble here tonight. This is an online kind of poker player, and he is going to gamble.
Well, you're right. He makes the call here.
Oh, let's see if he gets lucky.
Well, here comes that river card. That Jack comes off. He has made the Jack high straight. Unfortunately for David, he now has top pair.
Oh.
Now, there is a possible club flush out there, but David Benyamine, who just made top pair, could think they're good, and he's going to bet out. You're just not going to put your opponent on an 8-9 in this situation.
Of course, he could have had a club, but wouldn't he have played it differently? Most likely. So David Benyamine betting $1.4 million with confidence.
Well, we know Mike is going to play this hand. It's just a matter if you call or go all in. He's going all in here, even though there's 3 clubs out there.
A lot of players would be content just to call that, but he's going to get aggressive.
That's a dangerous play, Vince, because if your opponent's got 2 clubs, your tapioca pudding, it's going to be tough for him to call without the flush.
Yep.
Now, obviously, if David made 2 pair, he might call, and he's actually contemplating calling with just 2 jacks. You just can't imagine your opponent's going to raise it unless he's got specifically a club flush draw. And if he had clubs, why didn't he bet on the flop?
And he makes a good laydown right there. Sneaks away from that hand.
Well, the Canadian picked the right time to gamble there.
Mike Watson, a very tough poker player, but also a mathematician. Actually graduated from the University of Waterloo. He's a math major, and that's the same school as WPT champs, the Nod Medic, and Steve Paul Ambrose.
Oh, Vance, you know what those guys do in their dorms up there in Canada.
All right, action quickly on David Benyamine. He's called it with just an 8-5. Mike Watson not going to re-raise with a jack-deuce. Couple crummy hands. Let's see her flop.
Both players happy to see a flop here, and it comes queen 7-3. And Mike Watson with just a jack and a deuce is going to fire out at this pot, 260,000, and he's going to take it down.
Well, that's the edge of getting lucky, playing your rushes, because you happen to catch a straight, you get momentum, you get bolder. So with your junk hands, you start getting aggressive.
Forget edges and rushes and boldness. It's youth, Vince. When you're young, you're fearless. You fire out there with nothing.
Yeah, you're probably right. Players going after 1.7 million here tonight. Action going to Mike Watson. He has a 5-4 this time. Pretty unimpressive.
He's going to raise it though, Vince. He's playing position poker here.
Yeah.
Going to make it 400,000 to go on the button. David quickly calls him with a jack-10 out of the big blind. And here comes a flop king, jack-4. Mike has flopped bottom pair. David Benyamine has flopped second pair, but he checks. And Mike checks bottom pair right behind him. Now the board pairs jacks.
Oh,
David
wow.
Benyamine loving that. He's got 3 of a kind. His opponent drawing stone dead right now. There's no card that Mike can catch to win this pot.
And David's going to come out and bet.
And he's bet 450,000 here. Now, if you're sitting in Mike's seat, it might look like David's just making a move here to try to steal this pot. You've got a pair, so you're going to call him. That's exactly what Mike has done. Comes the river card, a deuce. No apparent help to anybody. David's going to be saying to himself, hey, I bet on the turn this guy called. I'm going to try another bet on the river here. He's counting out some chips. Let's see how many. Over 1.2 million he sends out there. This time Mike lays it down. A nice laydown by him. He was convinced somewhere between the turn and the river that David had him beat, and he was right. He saved that 1.2 million.
Yes, he did. And at that point, David, he said, wait, did I say 1.2? I actually meant the 300,000. Sometimes you overbet it and you wind up hating yourself for it, and you want to just take that back so quick, don't you?
You're right, Vince. If he'd have bet 4, 5, 6, 700,000, he probably got paid off.
All right, with that last hand, the antes are going up to 20,000. Blinds are at 100 and 200,000. Let's go to David Benyamine's cards. Look at this, a pair of queens wired.
Wow. 2 lovely ladies he's picked up here. And he's going to raise it and make it 500,000 to go.
With a quality hand. And now Mike Watson has picked up ace-king.
Unbelievable. We saw this scenario earlier. Ace-king against 2 queens. And Vince, neither player are going to be able to get away from one of these hands before the flop. I believe we're going to see a lot of fireworks here. And here's the first bit of it. 1.5 million.
I'm all in. The call.
Yep, and David says all in, and a quick call by Mike Watson.
Well, both players have a monster hand, especially playing heads-up poker. Nobody's going to lay either one of these hands down before the flop, but it's a classic race situation. David Benyamine out in front right now with the 2 queens.
Well, this is the same hand we saw earlier. Queens for Mike Watson, and Luke had ace-king, but Luke outdrew him.
Another one of these.
Well, Vince, over 17 million in this pot.
Queens up against ace-king. Stay tuned. We're coming back with the conclusion of this hand. 2 quality hands. Mike Watson with a huge opportunity here.
Well, David Benyamine, if his 2 queens stand up, will capture a second WPT title. Here comes the flop. It's 10-9 deuce. So far, so good for David. He's out in front with the 2 queens.
And he's thinking to himself right now, no funny business, nothing crazy. I'll take home my second WPT title.
Now I'm excited.
As his fiancée, Erica Schoenberg, roots him on.
Well, here comes the turn card. It's the 5 of diamonds. So we are off to the river. David Benyamine 1 card away from capturing his 2nd WPT title. All he has to do is dodge an ace or a king on the river. Everybody on their feet. The crowd screaming and hollering.
Now the Frenchman can taste it.
Well, here comes that river card.
The card of destiny coming up right now. Here it is.
Oh, wow!
Oh, no.
Can you believe it, Betts? An ace pops up on the river. Mike Watson is going to win this pot of over $17 million and take a commanding lead in this heads-up battle. And Vince, let me tell you something. When you play poker and lose pots like that on the river, it makes you want to have a 9-to-5 job.
Is there any fairness in poker?
I mean, unbelievable.
This is just amazing.
Heartbreak for David Benyamine.
Absolute Armageddon.
Well, as bad as you feel for David Benyamine, you got to feel good for the young Canadian.
Nice hand, sir.
Thanks. I'm good at the skill part, I guess.
Huh?
I'm good at the skill part, I guess.
You got to like the fact that this Canadian has held his poise and hung in there and now has a commanding chip lead and could take down his first WPT title.
Well, there is so much at stake here tonight. The winner taking home over $1.6 million along with the WPT championship.
Well, it's not over yet, but David right now has to make a big comeback to win this title. And he's going to limp in on the button.
Mike Watson with a Queen 7 of spades. These guys are going to take a breather. No one raising. Here's the flop.
And flop comes ace, king, 10. Mike has checked on the flop.
I'm all in.
And David is moving all in with the flush draw.
Oh, I'm all in.
Yeah, he's going to push it.
And he's going to win it. So a nice all-in bet by David there keeps him afloat in this tournament.
And he goes step by step to come back.
And he's still trying to gather himself from losing just a minute ago on the river. His opponent had to catch an ace or a king. Otherwise, the tournament was over. The trophy was on his mantle.
All right, to this hand, Mike Watson with Queen 9.
All in.
Okay.
He says all in, and David Benyamine with King 9 of hearts is going to call.
Well, David has him dominated here. So David, a nice favorite to double up yet again and get back in contention in this tournament. It's King 9 versus Queen 9.
Yeah, big opportunity for David Benyamine to come back.
So for the young Canadian to capture this tournament right here, right now, he's going to have to get lucky. Well, Mike Watson got real lucky to spike an ace on the river to stay alive. Can he get lucky again? Oh, it's come ace, queen 6. He's done it, Vince. He has taken the lead. David Benyamine in shocked disbelief.
They are singing in Canada right now for Sir Watts, Mike Watson.
I don't hear anybody for the king. Come on.
He can catch 2 runners to make a straight or a king to take the lead. Doesn't look good for him. Now a 9 comes off. Now that gives Mike queens and 9s. David has a pair of 9s. The only card he can catch to win this pot and stay alive is a king.
And Mike Watson so close to taking home the first place prize of over $1.6 million. Can he hold it up? Yes, he does.
Well, 7 of diamonds comes off. You got to take your hat off to Mike Watson. He played a great tournament all week long, but I'll tell you one thing. You got to feel the pain for David Benyamine.
24-year-old Canadian Mike Watson is our champion.